My name is Angela,
My name is Nicole.
and welcome to the Ominous Stitch podcast. Hello, Stitchers!
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to another amazing episode of the Ominous Stitch podcast.
We're back.
We're back.
Oh,
Yes.
Stitch.
I love how quick and abrupt that was. Oh, Stitch. Let's go into stitches.
I didn't mean to do that, but it was just so
ready
funny
to
because
go
I'm so
into it.
excited because I'm talking into a new microphone.
A new microphone.
Yay, that's my stitch
Yay.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to jump into it because I'm sure we've been sounding crazy back and forth, but we're alone doing this.
Yes.
And so we've been trying to mess with our levels. So I'm so sorry if our mic levels have been crazy, but I got a new mic to match Angela's.
Yes. So hopefully we start sounding a little bit more unified.
Unified.
Yeah.
Unity. Our last episode was really clear. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah.
My husband came and helped with
Yes.
levels.
The sound engineer made us sound good. What? That happens?
Like, do this, do this, do this. Okay.
Okay. So hopefully we did it right this time.
Yeah. Hopefully we did this on our own. So yeah. So I'm excited. Hopefully we sound really good this episode.
Yay. That's a good stitch.
Yeah. That's my happy stitch. What about you, Angela? What's got you in stitches?
So I got out of my retirement pants and put on my performing dress.
Retirement pants. I don't think you'd retire this young.
Well, I haven't sung in a long time, so I sang at a service over the weekend, and it was for a family, so it was nice to come out and sing. But a couple of things that made me kind of giggle, and those of you who are performers and like Nicole and I, and
A long time ago.
a long time ago.
One day, one long
And
time ago.
people might not necessarily know that, yes, I have my master's degree in vocal performance and opera.
Yes.
I was a voice teacher, still am, but I've
Yes.
been teaching since 2000, and I taught
Right.
at major universities, and I used my degree. I've had my career, and now I'm mostly a stay-at-home mom, and I take care of my wonderful family and my beautiful
Aw,
farm.
Right.
And I'm happy
you got
to
some
do
responsibilities.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. So that's why I say I have my retirement pants on, because I don't have a lot of time to perform anymore. Music is kind of like, on the back burner, which is fine.
But it's still part of you.
It's still part of me.
Mhm.
But anyway, so I got to perform for the service, and it was nice. And there were people at the service who didn't know me.
Mhm.
And what had me just giggling so much in my head is that one of the family members, complimented me on my performance, which is really nice. And then he goes, you should really do something about that.
You should go sing.
And what
You've
made
got a beautiful
I
voice.
know. You should try out for American Idol. I got that one too. You should
you
really,
kidding me? You
Yeah,
got that?
you should do
The
you should try out
Voice?
for The Voice or American Idol. You can really do something with that. You can have a career
You
with
just
that.
have such a beautiful voice.
I
Hone
love
it.
It's wonderful to get that compliment. It's
Sure.
so sweet. And I love that they think I'm young enough to like go out and start that kind
Do
of a
it.
career.
With their family.
But it just like, it tickles me to know that I'm like, oh,
You still
yeah,
got it.
yeah, I guess that's it. I still got it.
You still got it.
But yeah, but I
They
still
did,
get,
but they
like,
don't know. That's
yeah,
the fun
they
part.
don't. Yeah, that's the fun
They
part.
don't know
That's
your
the little
background.
secret that I get to keep in my head and be like, and in my brain I'm going, that's really sweet. That's really
Aw.
cute. Like,
And
been
it's
there, done
fun
that,
because
done
you
a
can
lot.
just do it. Like I have to like whip out an instrument. You just can do it on the spot, which is awesome.
No.
Yes, you can.
Well, yeah, but
I mean, you gotta warm up. I get it.
I got to warm up,
But
and
you
it
don't
does take a
have,
lot
like-
of prep, and I still get super nervous.
Yeah.
Because I don't do it that much
Yeah.
anymore. And so it's like, can I still do this? Can I still go out and perform? And it's so funny, that crazy rush of nerves that gets you when you haven't done it in a while.
Mhm.
Those nerves definitely subside when you're in performance mode and you're out there and you're doing it
Sure.
a lot. It's just,
No, I always still got those nerves.
Yeah.
I learned how to use them.
well, yeah, that's
Yeah,
the whole key.
yeah.
So I tell this to my students all the time. I'm like, nerves are your body's way of saying, this is the energy that you need to perform. You need
Right.
to channel those nerves, center them so that you can use them to aid your breath when you're singing. I'm
True.
sure you use them to aid
Holy
your breath when
cow.
you play the sax.
Yes, breathing was. That's all it is.
It's
It's
breathe. We are both wind instruments. So
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Utilizing how to breathe is a really big key of that.
Yeah.
Which I think is good in the long run, because for you and me, that'll be kind of good to relax ourselves in a way, like learning how to where to breathe.
Yeah, there's a whole meditative thing that I teach my students on how to channel that energy and use it for your breath support.
Yeah.
So
Do you breathe from your diaphragm a lot? Like, was that what you have to do a lot when you're singing?
Well, yes.
Like,
I know, almost made me launch into this whole big thing that I do with my students. Yes. So the diaphragm, I'm going to go, I get so nerdy about this because I love the science of how the voice works as an instrument and how you use it as your body and how the whole mechanism works.
Fascinating, yeah.
But the diaphragm is absolutely a muscle that everybody uses. You have to use it, otherwise you can't breathe. It's what makes you breathe. But understanding how to, quote unquote, control the diaphragm allows you to use your breath in different ways. And I say quote unquote control the diaphragm because this is like not at all about our podcast.
I love it.
So because the diaphragm is an involuntary muscle like your heart, it just works on its own. You can't really tell it what to do. So you have other muscles that you use to coordinate and help influence the position of the diaphragm when you're using it. Yeah. If anybody wants to have voice lessons, I can go further into it. But
no, I feel you, because when I would start with my beginning students, I'd make them like seriously lay down and try to push a pencil with their diaphragm, and that's how you
their
train
abdominal muscles.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, that's how you start training how to get your breath from that, because most people breathe from their chest, right? Yes, people think they puff out their chest and that's where they get all their air, but it's not.
Fun fact, you cannot expand into the upper part of your chest. You think you have a full breath of air because you cannot expand there. You have your rib cage is connected to the sternum in the front and your spinal column in the back doesn't allow you to expand.
Right.
Your lungs are also much smaller in the upper part of your chest. So they can't expand that much. We think we're full of air because we can't expand. There's nowhere for our lungs to expand. We expand in the lower part of the lungs. And when you expand your lungs correctly, it feels open. It feels easy. It doesn't feel tight or constricted. All right, we got to move on because this is turning into
breathing, not breathing.
We are so off topic. And I really want to get into our topic because this is a really juicy story time today.
It's spooky that most people might know of, which is cool.
Yeah, and my favorite duo definitely covered this house.
That's fun.
But before we get into story time, we got to do stitch time.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get stitching. Okay, Stitchers. So for this week's stitch, I'm doing something different. I'm not talking about crochet.
What are you talking about, Angela?
I'm not talking about needlepoint either.
No? What are you talking about?
So my wonderful alpaca are getting shorn tomorrow.
Yay!
So in preparation for that, I am teaching myself how to spin.
Whoop, whoop. Like
so
old
I'm
school.
Talk about, I know, I'm so
Super
excited.
Old school.
So I'm going way old school.
Yeah.
And instead of using a spinning wheel, because I don't have a spinning wheel, I have a drop spindle.
What?
A drop spindle. These are the coolest things. Okay, so a drop spindle kind of looks like a child's top, but it's got a really long rod on the bottom, and that's where the yarn winds onto. Okay,
interesting.
So what you do is you can start with a leader. I start with the fiber itself and wrap it around. And then what you do is you control how much fiber that you're letting there's like a gajillion steps to get to it, but once you align all the fibers and you have your rollags, or you have your, I know these are big fun
I'm like,
terms,
I don't know these terms,
or your roving. Ooh. That's another term for it. So when all of your fibers are aligned and you have a nice long piece of fiber, so I have some right here that I'll show Nicole.
Ooh.
And then we'll also post pictures so you can see what these little rollags look like. But do you see how we have these? This is merino wool. It's not alpaca, but this is what I'm practicing with.
So
but you guys will see these in the store. You can use them for felting.
It looks just like stuffing.
Yeah.
But this one's colorful stuffing.
Yes,
Did they dye this?
Yes, this is dyed merino wool.
No, there's green sheep out there.
Yes. Green and pink sheep everywhere. And so what you do is you pull a little bit of the fiber at a time to make a really, really thin kind of
but you don't want to pull it all the way.
You don't want to pull it all the way. And basically all you're doing is you're twisting. You're adding twist to this fiber. So you spin the spindle, you park it between your legs, and then you let the twist that you've created creep up the line of the fiber. And then it just starts twisting all the fiber together to make yarn. And so that's what I'm learning how to do, guys. I've made a couple of balls. I'm very inconsistent with it.
Well, you're learning.
I'm learning.
That's so cool.
It's so fun. So I'll show Nicole. Yeah, do you see?
What?
Isn't that cool?
And that's your yarn.
That's yarn.
Wow, that's so cool.
Step number 1. So I highly recommend you guys learning.
Try it.
Yeah, go on Amazon. I bought this kit. I think it was like maybe about $50, but it comes with a whole bunch of yarn and a beautiful little simple spindle, and see how it looks like a little top.
How long did that take you? So she's got maybe like 2 or 3 inches worth of yarn. How long did that take you?
It's pretty quick once you get going. The main thing is learning how to control how much fiber goes into the twist, because that's what's going to give you your consistent width of yarn.
That's got to be hard.
It's hard. Yeah. You can see my first couple balls that I made. They're very inconsistent.
Got a thick one, got a thinner one.
Yeah. They're very inconsistent. But yeah.
I love it.
That's it. That's how you make yarn. Isn't that amazing?
That's so cool. Fun. You just don't think about those steps, you know?
Yeah.
You think about like you buy the bundle of yarn, the ball yarn, but you don't think about what happens before it. So that's fun.
So all of you yarn artists and fiber artists, go get yourself a little kit, get a drop spindle.
I got to work on all my crochet projects first.
Fun. It's very fun. I can't wait to make yarn balls with all of my alpaca
wool.
So
exciting.
And then
you're going to sell them, right?
Yeah, I'll sell the. You guys can buy my misshapen yarn.
Are you going to dye them, or are you going to keep them the same color?
I'm going to keep this first set natural, but I do have 4 girls that have very dyeable fiber, because they're white to cream. Yeah. So that would be easy to dye.
Fun.
I'm not going to dye them this year, I don't think.
Okay.
But that will be a whole other thing that I'm going to start learning how to dye the fibers and get that going.
That's so awesome.
But yeah, this is my new adventure, guys. I'm going to make my own yarn. It's so exciting. Woohoo!
Like super yarn artist.
Super yarn artist.
You are so cool.
Yay.
Good job.
I'm just learning all these really old things. I'm such an old granny, but it's fun.
Taking it old.
I love it.
School. Good job, Angela.
Yay.
Well, yeah, you're going to have to show us finished products of your actual alpaca.
I will.
Yeah.
Yes. From start to finish. We'll post pictures of.
Yay.
This is them all fluffy, because they're super fluffy right now.
They are. They're thick.
They're really thick. I'm like, are they fat, or is it, how much of it is actually fiber and how much of it is just my thick alpaca?
Oh, but that's good.
Yeah.
Thick's good. Keep
so, yeah. Well,
but it's getting warm, so you gotta.
It's getting warm. We have a little pool for them, which they love. And
yeah.
But they can't get in the pool. They have to stay dry for
to get shorn.
Yeah.
Boo.
So we'll get
play
there.
after.
We'll get there.
Okay.
But yeah, so go buy yourself a little kit. The one that I have is Dicha. I just got it on Amazon.
Okay.
I think that's how you say it. It's Dicha. Dicha. And it's a really cute little kit. They teach you how to do it and how to spin your yarn. And you get all these like really fun colors. It is merino wool, so it's a pretty easy fabric, or not fabric, but a pretty easy wool to work with to start spinning with.
Nice.
And then, just watch a bunch of YouTube videos on how to do it.
Get it,
Drop
YouTube.
spindles are really easy. You control a little bit of the fiber, you spin your drop spindle, you park it between your legs, and you let that twist move up.
So you're like a different version of Sleeping Beauty.
I don't have a needle on my spinning wheel, but I do have a drop spindle.
Fun.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Yay. Good job.
Okay, that's it. So are we ready for story time?
Let's get to story time. So as I mentioned, this next story time, I think a lot of true crime followers will enjoy this and already know about it. But, I'll just keep going into as many details as I can. Plus, I'm going to go into the haunts
The haunting of.
I like that. I like true crime is pretty gritty, right? But when we have the paranormal aspect into it, I can get behind it a lot more. So there you go. All right. We go back to Villisca, Iowa over a century ago. Very small town. And we go to Josiah B. Moore. He was a prominent businessman in the small town and was one of 10 children.
Oh my goodness.
One of 10.
So many kids. I have 3 and that feels like a lot.
Right? 10 kids. 10 I can't even imagine. And most of his brothers and sisters lived in Villisca as well, but he had 7 brothers, 2 sisters.
7 brothers and 2 sisters. That's a lot of boys. Those poor girls.
Yep. Now, not much is known about his background other than this information. Sarah Montgomery was born in Knox County, Illinois in 1873 and moved to Iowa around 1894 with her folks and sister. She married Josiah Moore on December 6, 1899 in her parents' home. They had 4 children together, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul. Now we hone in on Sunday, June 9th, 1912. At this point, Herman was oldest, so he was 11 years old. Catherine was 10. 11. Boyd was 7, and Paul was 5.
Oh, man.
The Moores' children had friends, Lena and Ina Stillinger. Lena was 12, and Ina was 8. They left Sunday morning to eat with their grandmother after the morning Presbyterian church service. They returned back to church for Children's Day, which Sarah Moore, the mom, had planned. And then these are the Stillinger girls. They returned to their grandmother's for the night. That was their plan. However, Catherine Moore invited the girls to spend the night at their home after Children's Day, which they agreed to, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
The Children's Day at their Presbyterian church was an annual event, and as mentioned before, Sarah Moore had coordinated all the exercises. The event started at 8 p.m. All the Moore children plus the Stillinger girls participated in the activities that evening. When the program concluded at around 9:30 p.m., the Moore family and Stillinger girls walked home from the church.
That seems like it's late for a
super
children's
late
service.
Right? For Children's Day.
Yeah.
Evening.
It's like you should have it during the day. And
right? Not at night.
That seems late.
I agree. I don't know why. Okay. I don't know.
All right.
It is thought they reached their home around 9:45 to 10 p.m. Note, because of the small, trusting community in Villisca, many people did not lock their doors.
Small town, everybody knows everybody.
Trusting.
Yeah.
There's a house.
I know, it's so cute.
Then around 5 a.m. the next morning, next door neighbor Mary Peckham was in her yard hanging laundry. Around 7 a.m., she realized she had not seen any sign of the Moores outside to do their chores, and the home was disturbingly still. So she decided to come on over between about 7 and 8 a.m. out of concern and knocked on their door.
Oh, no.
When no one answered, she attempted to open the door, but it was locked from the inside. She helped them out by letting their chickens out, then called Josiah's brother, Ross Moore, to see if he could get a hold of anyone. He had a spare key to their home.
Mm-hmm.
When Ross Moore arrived to his brother's home, he tried first to look in a bedroom window, but didn't see anything. He then knocked on the door and even shouted, but his attempts were futile. At last, Ross found the spare key, entered the home with Mrs. Peckham on his heels, but she halted on the porch. Ross entered the spare bedroom off to the side of the parlor. When he opened the bedroom door, it was a nightmare. There were 2 bodies on the bed with dark stains on the bedclothes. He ran right back onto the porch and told Mrs. Peckham what he found, and then Ross called Joe's hardware store, telling employee Ed Selly to fetch Marshall Henry Hank Horton because something terrible had happened. Hank arrived to the Moore house around 8:30 a.m., went through the house, and found, as he told Ross when he had come out, that somebody was murdered in every bed.
Oh my gosh. That's so disturbing.
Yes, 1912. Man. What made the whole scene worse is that once the murders were discovered, everybody found out in that small town. So neighbors and curious onlookers descended upon the small home, and law enforcement officials quickly lost control of the crime scene.
Yeah, I bet.
They estimated that roughly 100 people were in and out of that home.
Oh my gosh.
100.
People.
Gawking at the lifeless murdered Moore family and tampered with all the evidence.
Oh my gosh, people.
Even worse is
okay, that reminds me, and I just got to throw this in.
Yeah.
Like when I clean my chicken coops, my chickens like to quote unquote help. And so I'm trying to, get all of their old hay out and make a pile and then take it over to our compost heap.
Right.
And then they jump in the pile and they start spreading it all over the place,
trying to help
a bigger mess, trying to help. Like that's what's happening here.
That does not help chickens.
No.
Now, even worse is one of the townspeople took a fragment of Joe's skull.
Gross. Why?
Took a piece of bone.
Dude, why?
So morbid.
Right?
Why would you want a piece of bone, man?
Don't.
The Villisca National Guard finally did arrive around noon and to secure the home. But here are all the facts they could gather once they reviewed the crime scene taken from the official website for the Villisca murder house. 8 people had been bludgeoned to death, if you count right.
Yep.
Presumably with an axe that was left at the crime scene. Side note, they found the axe in the room where the Stillinger girls were sleeping. The crimes appeared to take place while everyone was asleep. Doctors estimated time of death somewhere shortly after midnight. Curtains were drawn on all the windows in the house except for 2 that did not have curtains. Here, these windows were covered with clothing that belonged to the Moores.
Oh.
All of the victims' faces were covered with bedclothes after they were killed. It's kind of like a ritual, they keep saying across the webs.
Yeah.
A kerosene lamp was found at the foot of the bed of Josiah and Sarah. The chimney was off and the wick had been turned back, which I don't know what that really means, but
I don't know what the wick is.
Old time stuff.
I know what the flue is, but I don't know what the wick is.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you know what the wick is, please email us at theominousstitch@gmail.com.
I love you. You're so fun. Okay, a similar lamp was found at the foot of the bed where the Stillinger girls lay, and the chimney was also off. The axe was found in the guest bedroom, as I said before. There was blood on the axe, but there was an attempt to wipe it clean. The axe belonged to Josiah Moore. Both ceilings in the parents' bedroom and children's room had gouge marks due to the upswing of the axe.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
A piece of a keychain was found on the floor in the downstairs bedroom.
A piece of a keychain.
No idea what kind of keychain.
Okay.
A pan of bloody water was discovered on the kitchen table, as well as a plate of uneaten food.
This is like the John List thing where he decided to stop and have a sandwich.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
The doors were all locked. Dr. Lindquist, the coroner, had found a slab of bacon on the floor in the downstairs bedroom lying near the axe. It weighed nearly 2 pounds and was wrapped inside a dish towel.
What?
Yep. A second slab of bacon that was roughly the same size was also found in the icebox. So he removed it, left it.
Okay. That's a
Bacon.
weird piece of information.
Right?
Yeah.
What's missing from this list is that the murderer had searched the dresser drawers for pieces of clothing to cover all the mirrors in the house.
All the mirrors were covered.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Piecing the evidence together, the state of the home and how the bodies were found, the police were able to determine that the Moore parents had been murdered first. The murderer entered the home while the Moores were at church and supposedly waited in the attic. Some sites state there were 2 cigarette butts in the attic, while the current tour website states that there were no cigarettes found. So contradicting evidence there. He already had Josiah's axe with him and patiently waited until all were asleep.
Wow.
That's creepy, right?
Yeah, this guy had it out. Why?
We'll get into
Okay.
I know. I asked the same thing.
Why?
He used the blunt end of the axe on all except for Sarah.
What? Oh my God.
And due to the state of each body, they were all still asleep when he reached everybody except for Lena Stillinger. Lena, according to the inquest testimony of Dr. F.S. Williams, quote unquote, lay as though she had kicked 1 foot out of her bed sideways, with one hand up under the pillow on her right side, half sideways, not clear over, but just a little. Apparently, she had been struck in the head and squirmed down in the bed perhaps 1/3 of the way. But due to the evidence, it is believed Lena had been awake when the murderer made it to her room because she had an alleged defensive wound on her arm. Her nightgown was also pushed up and was left exposed, no underwear, and a blood stain was on her knee. But doctors concluded Lena was not sexually abused.
Oh my gosh. I know. I was like, it's going somewhere I don't want it to.
No, thankfully they checked.
So that's good.
But still weird.
Yeah.
Morbid. And to make the gruesome event even more morbid, it is believed after the killer finished with the still injured girls, he went back upstairs to systematically bludgeon each victim's heads even more until they were unrecognizable, each receiving 20 to 30 blows.
Holy crap.
Why?
This person is deranged.
Very deranged.
Oh my gosh.
Police discovered one of Sarah's shoes that was on Josiah's side of the bed. The shoe was found on its side. However, it had blood inside as well as under it, which shows that after killing everyone, he did indeed return to deliver more blows and subsequently knocked the shoe over. That's how they were able to tell. Then, after the brutal murders, he most likely washed his hands in the bowl of water and thought of eating. But nope, may have lost his appetite, but who knows? We do know he had the house keys, locked the doors on the way out, and was on his merry way.
Dude.
And this was like a newspaper clipping that everybody posts about it.
Oh, man.
It wasn't until after 10 p.m. that the undertaker was allowed to move the victims in the Moore house, and they transported them to the fire station as a temporary morgue. The Moore Stillinger funeral services were held in Villisca's town square on June 12, 1912, and thousands were in attendance. They were buried in the Villisca cemetery. Now, who committed such gruesome murders?
Right? Who?
Before we dive into suspects,
okay,
note that 9 months before the murders at Villisca, a similar case of axe murder occurred in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Really?
Where H.C. Wayne, his wife and child, and Mrs. A.J. Burnham were all found murdered with an axe.
Dude.
Their bed sheets were used to cover the windows to prevent anyone from looking in, just like the Moore home. And the murderer in Colorado Springs wiped blood off his axe and covered the heads of the victims with bedclothes.
Oh, is it the same guy?
We assume.
Oh,
we can only assume.
Gosh.
Then 2 axe murder cases followed in Ellsworth, Kansas and Paola, Kansas. The cases were similar enough to raise a possibility of having been committed all by the same person.
Dude, this person has a special place in hell.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Axe murder. We go back to Villisca now.
Like mad.
Good, you should be. Now, police brought in bloodhounds to the Moore home to search for any trace of the killer, but they had no success because, of course, the townspeople basically demolished the crime scene.
Yeah.
Thanks, people.
Gosh.
However, a few suspects had been named over time. One prominent suspect was Iowa State Senator Frank F. Jones.
Why?
Crazy, right? Now, Josiah Moore had worked for Frank Jones at the Jones store selling farm equipment for roughly 7 years before Josiah left and opened his own rival shop in 1908.
So let's bludgeon this family to death so I don't have competition.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Jones was very upset because when Moore left, he managed to take the very lucrative John Deere franchise with him.
Good for Josiah.
Yeah. There was also a rumor that Josiah had an affair with Jones's daughter-in-law, Donna, but the reports were unfounded. Some found it hard to believe Frank would have murdered the entire Moore family over work conflicts, right?
Yeah.
However, the Burns Detective Agency of Kansas City and Detective James Newton Wilkerson believed that Frank hired William Mansfield of Blue Island, Illinois, to murder the Moores. They had this inkling. Mansfield, a.k.a. George Worley and or Jack Turnbaugh, he went by a few names, had a sordid past. It was believed he was a cocaine fiend and serial killer. 2 years after the Villisca Axe murders, Detective Wilkerson believed that Mansfield was responsible for the axe murders of his wife infant child, father-in-law, and mother-in-law in Blue Island, Illinois on July 5th, 1914. And the murders were committed in precisely the same manner as the Moore home murders. Mansfield's family were each hacked to death with an axe. All mirrors in the home were covered. Dude. A burning lamp with the chimney off was left at the foot of the bed, and a basin in which the murder washed was found in the kitchen.
Yeah. So, okay, but that murder happened after.
2 years after.
2 years after. So maybe he could have just copycatted it, you know?
True. Because it was after
It would have been more believable if that happened first and then the Villisca thing happened.
Right.
But
it's the same.
Dude, but still
why would you do that?
Over work, over competition. Like, come
But maybe
on.
he was like this because he was a serial killer, just was like, oh, let's have some fun because I want to do it, you know? You never know.
Yeah, but the governor,
the guy hiring,
like,
the state senator,
the senator, dude.
That's kind of silly. Now, there were no fingerprints found at that family's murders due to most likely wearing gloves, but supposedly Mansfield knew his fingerprints were on file at the federal military prison at Leavenworth. So the same thing. They couldn't find any fingerprints at the Moore house either.
Right.
In 1916, Detective Wilkerson convinced a grand jury to open an investigation on Mansfield, causing his arrest, and was brought to Montgomery County from Kansas City. Alas, payroll records provided an alibi that placed Mansfield in Illinois at the time of the Villisca murders.
Okay.
He was released and even won a lawsuit against Wilkerson. So, suspect one.
Yeah, he's been axed.
Yep. Exactly. Ayo.
Ew.
With Mansfield and Jones no longer on the suspect radar, next up was Reverend Lynn George Jacqueline Kelly. A traveling preacher.
Name.
I know. Most people go by Jacqueline Kelly, but that was his full name.
Yeah.
A traveling preacher and English immigrant. He was supposedly known to be a sexual deviant and had mental problems. So he suffered a mental breakdown as an adolescent and spent time in a mental hospital later in life. Kelly admitted to being in Villisca the night of the murders, and to look even more suspicious, hopped onto the 5 a.m. train the next morning. On the train, he told fellow travelers that, quote unquote, there were 8 dead souls back in Villisca, Iowa, butchered in their beds while they slept. But at that point, bodies
Nobody had known. Nobody
had
knew.
not been discovered.
Yeah.
So how did he know?
Oh, because he did it.
Even though being small framed, there were a few factors that made police believe he fit the culprit. You're going to love this. For example, Kelly was left-handed.
Yay, lefties. Woo-hoo!
But based on the blood splatters, they thought the killer had to be left-handed as well.
Oh, interesting.
Also, Kelly knew the Moore family, and townsfolk said Kelly would watch them while at church and while they were out in the town.
Okay.
So who's watching him, like watching
spying.
Them? Yeah.
Well, because it's a small town. Yeah, everybody knows what's going on. Yeah.
A dry cleaner came forward from a nearby town that said they received bloody clothing from Kelly a few days after the murders.
Oh, well, geez. This is all like, yes, it was him. Come on. What more evidence do you need?
Right.
I'm convinced.
Got you convinced. Well, 2 weeks later, Kelly returned to the Moore home, posed as a Scotland Yard officer, and then joined a tour of the house with a group of investigators.
Oh my God.
He's very fascinated, right?
Crazy.
He's very crazy. In 1917, a grand jury indicted Kelly for Lena Stillinger's murder, and while in jail awaiting trial, he was interrogated throughout the summer. After so much prodding from the police, Kelly signed a confession letter for the murders on August 31st, stating God had whispered to him to suffer the children to come unto me.
Oh, dear Lord.
But then when Kelly was on trial, he recanted his confession and the case went to the jury on September 26th. The jury deadlocked 11-1 for acquittal, so a second jury was immediately impaneled, but they acquitted Kelly in November of 1918.
Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, why? I'm so mad. This is so upsetting. It's so upsetting.
Right. So he went off. So
I
feel like people are like, they point at him. A lot of websites, they like, think it's him, but
the
some
movie
don't.
pointed at him too.
The movie definitely pointed at him. And then there was Henry Moore, no relation to Josiah Moore.
Okay.
Federal officer M.W. McClary thought that he was assigned to the Villisca case, announced May 1913 that he believed he had solved not only the Villisca murders, but 22 others that had been committed in the Midwest in the same time frame, and pointed his finger at Henry Moore. Fitting the theme, months after the Villisca murders, Henry Moore was convicted of murdering his mother and maternal grandmother in Columbia with, you guessed it,
an axe.
An axe.
Why are people murdering people with axes?
I think it's like guns at this time. You know, the guns are everywhere. I think axes were the thing.
Yeah, because you got to chop firewood.
Yep.
Got it.
Farm life. He was caught for this and served 36 years of a life sentence before being paroled by the governor of Missouri on December 2nd, 1949. McClary received information about Moore's conviction from his father, who was a warden of the Leavenworth, Kansas Federal Penitentiary. And even though McClary tried to tell everyone, it was largely ignored. So who knows?
No, it was the Reverend Kelly. I mean, that is so... He obviously was obsessed with the family. Mm-hmm. He freaking went back.
He went back, proposed as a cop just to go through the house.
It's so...
That's creepy.
Gross.
Yeah.
I feel it in my soul.
Oh, no.
I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes. It's him. Like, it was him. If you agree with me.
You're funny. I'm so passionate about this.
I'm so mad. No, but it was Reverend Kelly. Come on.
I don't know. I can't.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I don't know.
It was nobody else. The other people were copycats. It was him.
But there's so many axe murders out there. Isn't that crazy, though?
But yes. That is crazy that there were a lot of different people that
all had
committed
the
axe murders.
same MOs too, with the whole, like, the way they did it. That's what's crazy. And Kelly I don't think Kelly did all those, but
he did the Moors.
You're convinced.
I am. I don't know. Are there other people?
No.
Okay.
No, I was going to say, my last part about this was I could go on and on about all the accusations that were thrown left and right about so many other suspects that were transients, hobos, confessions on deathbeds. People were like, oh, this person did it. It was like a priest. This person did it.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason why there were copycat murders after this was a very, very famous case. Right. Obviously, it's still super famous now. So, of course, people wanted to leave their mark and copycat it. There's a lot of copycats, I'm sure, that happened after this, and a lot of people wanting to take credit for it so they could, like, maybe make their name live on through time or whatever. It's Reverend Kelly.
But
9 million %.
Like I said, though, 9 months before this, there were the axe murders in Colorado, that exact same MO.
Well, if he's a traveling preacher.
You think he was in Colorado before then?
Maybe. Do we know if he was in Colorado
Doesn't
before
say.
Then? See... If he's a traveling preacher, I think it's his MO. He did it. It's him. Like, I don't see any other way.
You're so funny.
It had to have been him.
I don't know. But the fact that remains that to this day, there's no concrete evidence of exactly who murdered the 8 innocent souls in Villisca on June 9th, 1912.
Because the town interfered too much, and because people were too afraid to convict a preacher because some reason it messed with their consciousness.
The reverend,
I can't convict a man of God. I am sure that that's why they chose not to convict him. I cannot convict a man of God.
Yeah, that's a good reason.
In the early 1900s.
Yeah, and everyone's very religious.
In the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not going to convict a man of God. I'm so mad.
You are so sure about this.
Like
You're
fired
amazing.
up. It's him. If you guys have your own opinions, please email us at theominousstitch@gmail.com. I want to know what you think, but I am a million % convinced. You can also jump on any of our socials and let us know there, but I am a million % convinced. I'm Team Kelly. It's him.
Creepy.
Oh, he seems like he has the personality and the patience to wait.
His brain just snapped.
He's crazy. He's been planning it. He was stalking the family.
True.
And so he knew where they would be. So he knew that when his opportunity would be. And like, I think this is just what it fits his personality. It fits his
Spooky.
MO. It's him. It's him. It's him. I cannot be convinced otherwise. Oh, it's so disturbing.
It is.
I hate it so much.
It's very spooky, though, and sad for sure.
Yeah.
Poor family.
Yes.
After the murders, the Moore home was boarded up and remained an estate until 1915 when it was purchased by J.H. Geisman. After this, the home went through multiple owners, including the Villisca State Savings and Loan. By 1994, Rick and Vicky Sprague owned the home, but Darwin Lynn, a real estate agent who owned and operated the Olson Lynn Museum, contacted the Spragues in hopes to purchasing the old Moore home. Thankfully, before the property was to be demolished, they allowed Lynn to purchase the home and obtain the necessary funds to restore the home to its original condition when the Moores had owned it. Whoa. Once ready, the Lynns opened the home to tours as well as overnight stays.
Oh, hey.
The price for a daytime tour, $10 per person, 12 and up.
Hey.
$10.
I'll pay that price.
And no need for reservations.
Oh, okay, cool.
Just go. But if you wish to stay overnight, it is reported to cost roughly $400.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Now, note that there have been an overwhelming number of paranormal reports from this home, from disembodied footsteps, objects moving, whispers, voices, apparitions, shadows, terrible vibes, just so much.
Yeah, I bet.
Anna Hyder of roadtrippers.com posted a photo of the corkboard inside the old home with photos which captured paranormal phenomena. Most of them are orbs, but there is even one where someone claimed to have had their back scratched by an unseen entity.
Ooh.
The house has been visited from every paranormal show, from Ghost Adventures to Scariest Places on Earth, and just like your BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Yay!
Author, sensitive, and paranormal investigator Molly Rowland wrote an article for horrorobsessive.com about her night with a paranormal investigative team in the home. As soon as the team arrived and she stepped inside the home, she immediately was greeted with a breathy hi in her right ear.
Oh!
When she jumped and turned to see who it was, no one was there.
Oh!
Hi. That night, when they started the investigation, the entire team noticed a small ball of light rise through the floorboards in the upstairs Moore children bedroom, and the globular mass moved in these figure 8 patterns before dissipating back into the floor.
Ooh.
I would be so fascinated to see that.
Yeah,
just like a
to
little
see
moving
like,
around.
But figure 8, that's a sign of eternity.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and then it disappeared.
Or infinity.
Infinity, right?
Infinity. Yeah.
Some of the team then decided to visit the attic, but Roland's intuition told her not to go in there.
Oh, that's where the bad man lives.
The other team members witnessed some visual craziness. They didn't explain any more about just visual craziness.
Okay.
That caused all the color to drain from their faces, voices to stutter, and hands tremble.
Ooh.
After that, they all needed to take a quick break outside to get some air, and she was glad she didn't go into the attic.
Yeah.
Once they gathered themselves, they set up in the kitchen to use their K2 meter, which is a meter to detect spikes in electromagnetic energy with light indicators.
Mm-hmm.
The team lead was facing the pantry seats. The team lead was facing the pantry while they started asking questions. But then they asked Roland to change seats so that she was staring into the pitch black pantry.
Oh.
After the K2 meter started going off, Roland described seeing an otherworldly shadow man appear from the right side wall of the pantry. It was huge. It was ominous. And it was darker than the dark that was already present.
Dude.
When the shadow approached Roland, she shouted no, because she felt that it was coming at her to take over her.
Yeah. You got to tell him no.
No, yeah, she said no, which startled the other teammates. Then the team lead responded with, "Oh, you saw it too, huh?" That's why he changed seats.
What a jerk, man.
Jerk.
That's so not cool.
That's so mean.
That makes me so mad. That's not cool, dude.
Yeah. Roland proceeded to get up and smudge herself in the home for a third time. She had already done it twice.
Yeah.
Roland wanted to stop and go home, but decided to finish up the investigation with the team and entered the room where the Stillinger girls were murdered.
That seems like it should be a more peaceful, calm room. I think those are
Kind of.
Okay.
As they were asking questions, Roland watched a little girl's skirt with no feet walk out of the pantry door and directly up to her side.
Yeah.
That's when she noped it out of there.
Yep. Done. Done.
She's like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. She recaps that she slept for 4 solid days when she returned home and couldn't speak of that night for weeks.
Dude, too much of her energy was used. Oh,
The poor girl.
yeah.
Now, even Martha Lynn, owner of the home, mentioned this about it. I feel like there's something there. If indeed there are spirits, you have to realize that 6 of them are children. I don't know if the murderer still exists there, but there have been a few things that have happened that aren't exactly calming, but I don't like to dwell on it. The owner. Allison Oborn, I think that's how you say her name, wrote about her experience in the Villisca Axe Murder home on AdelaideHauntedHorizons.com. She mentioned that her tour guide, which I'm going to talk about him soon again, the building's caretaker and local paranormal investigator Johnny Hauser, had many of his own experiences in the home, such as hearing footsteps on the floor above him when no one else was in the home. He had conducted over 400 solo investigations, and his conclusion was the house seems to mess with people.
Okay, yeah.
And I'll go into that a little more too. Also, a lot of EVP have been captured, and they believe it's always children voices, but never the parents. After he felt strange things happen in his own home and his own wife, who was a non-believer, Hauser said no more investigations in the Moore home. So he started
done.
He started having them follow him, but he still does tours.
Yeah.
He just doesn't do overnights anymore there.
Yeah.
Because he's a caretaker.
Yeah. Ooh.
Professional ghost hunter Jeff Scott Cole and his partner Jonathan Robson stayed the night in the Villisca Axe Murder home in 2015 and were able to capture some chilling EVP of children that I'm going to play for Angela.
Yay!
We're going to link this too.
Oh, I got chills everywhere right now. I got to shake them off. Shake them off.
Shake 'em off.
Shake them off.
Lastly,
Yes.
I want to delve into a rather morbid event that occurred in the Villisca Axe Murder home that took place in 2014.
I think I know what this
Yes,
story
you do.
is.
This story unfolds from the caretaker Johnny Hauser's perspective, told on the Extremes, a Vice podcast episode. Johnny recalled greeting an older man, he guessed in his 50s, with his elderly parents for a tour, and I'm guessing it's an overnight stay. The guy was wearing camo pants and had a hunting knife attached to his belt. The guy coming in basically told Hauser that he was going to give the house a piece of his mind. Hauser didn't think much of it, let them be, and went home to bed. But then the next morning, upon waking up, he noticed his name tagged all over social media with headlines stating, "Man stabs himself at Axe Murder House." So Hauser rushed to the home and had some friends meet him because he didn't want to be alone in that situation.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Nope.
Smart man.
Yep. He walked in and immediately saw in the kitchen a little teddy bear wrapped up in a blanket. He commented that lots of people bring dolls and toys as tokens for the kids, so it is a normal thing to see.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, this teddy was covered in blood. And his initial thought upon the sight was, not again in this house.
Oh, man.
So after cleaning that area with bleach and a towel, he just kind of poured bleach and kicked a towel around, apparently. He didn't want to
that's
touch
not
it.
how to clean, though.
Martha Lynn came in and was crying. She asked if they should shut down because it was supposed to be fun. But Hauser said that they would have people breaking in because of rumors that the home was too haunted. So he said they should keep going.
Yeah. That's actually smart.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to have a lot of vandalism, right?
Yeah.
Then he found out that the man that prior night had been in the home by himself, trying to conduct a solo investigation in the kid's bedroom. Here is where his parents had found him with the knife shoved through his chest. They airlifted him to a hospital in Omaha, Nebraska, and thankfully the man had survived.
Wow.
But that was all Hauser could piece together of that crazy night. He wanted to reach out to the guy, but never did. But then a few years later, a TV show called Kindred Spirits asked to film at the home. The producers of the show had convinced the guy to come back and revisit the home where he stabbed himself.
Oh, what? Oh, no.
Right?
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Then one day while Hauser walked into the barn with all the show's equipment, he happened to find the guy in there as well.
Oh.
He sat down next to him and said, I have a million questions for you.
Yeah, I bet.
First question was why he brought the knife.
Yeah.
And the guy responded that, very Midwestern, he typically has carried handguns on him, concealed handguns on him, but didn't know the laws in Iowa, so he brought a knife instead.
Gotta have that protection.
From what?
No, I don't know. You don't need that.
You don't need it. I'm sorry. Then after asking the big question of what happened that night, the guy told a story the best he could. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say all Midwesters, but I noticed that on the West Coast and East Coast, most people don't carry concealed weapons.
Yeah, it's not something, yeah.
Yeah, but I see it more often in the Midwest, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the laws are also more lax in those states as well.
Yeah.
So in California, we have, even though we have a lot of gun violence.
Oh my gosh, we have so much.
Yeah.
We have a lot of road rage. It's creepy.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was
we digress. Me. Let's go back in.
Sorry. Okay. But yeah, he had a knife on him. He recalled being alone in the children's bedroom, trying to provoke the ghosts to come at him. You know, come at me, bro.
Oh, that's so dumb. Don't provoke the ghosts. They're people. They don't like.
Yeah. No.
He
didn't understand that.
I hate that.
Yeah. But after that, all he could recall was waking up in the emergency room.
Oh, so he totally blacked out and didn't remember. Dude, you invited you cannot
come
offer
at me,
yourself
bro.
as a host.
Yep.
Because, of course, the bad entities are the ones that are going to jump on that first.
Oh, sure. Yep. At that point, while talking to Hauser, the guy had started crying very hard and said it had ruined his life. Everyone thought he was crazy or thought he was trying to be famous and rich. But going on the show, he just wanted to finally tell his side of the story so people wouldn't claim he was insane. Right when they walked into the house together, the first thing the guy did was apologize for getting loud and trying to provoke the entities lingering in the home.
Okay, well, that's nice. I'm glad that he's like
peace.
Trying to make it right. Yeah.
Hauser's conclusion was that he will never claim that a ghost had stabbed him, but there is something about the house that may prey on people who are mentally ill or not rooted in any kind of faith or protection. He also thinks that when you go into the home looking for good, you will get back good. But the opposite also will occur, so don't look for bad.
Yep.
The home reflects back whatever you are seeking from it. Also, the murders left an imprint on the home, like a fingerprint. And there you go. That's the Villisca Axe Murder house.
Man, this is such a good... This is like last week where I can't talk. I've got chills everywhere.
It's so
the story
morbid.
is so rich. Of course, there's a ton of paranormal activity happening in this house.
Seriously,
because nothing was resolved.
Nothing.
So, and you
justice.
You have all these innocent lives that were taken from a mad person who may have been possessed by a demon. Definitely something dark was influencing him to commit these murders, and it was very planned. Obviously, it had to have been very planned, and there's no answers because people got in the way, and they disrupted the house. They weren't able, and forensic science at that time wasn't that great, but still, when you have all these hens in the hen house, like redecorating and touching everything.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe everybody came in. That hurts my heart to ruin like someone's like resting place almost,
Yeah.
because they
And
all
then
died gruesomely.
they died gruesomely, but think of all the energy that went into all of those people swarming in on that house and disturbing this fresh tragedy that just happened. So there's so much energy that went in, and it's still there. So yeah, I believe this place is 1,000,000% haunted. And I absolutely agree with the caretaker. Obviously, he's been there for a long time, so he knows this house and he understands what's happening in here. So yes, there's obviously a dark energy that's happening in this house. 1,000,000%, because a dark, very, very dark ritualistic thing happened.
Right.
So it absolutely left its energy imprint there. Absolutely. And then you have all these innocent souls that absolutely left their imprint there as well.
It's so sad.
And that sign of
infinity,
it's like it's going to be here forever, because there's no resolution. They can't leave. They're stuck. To me, it's like, we're stuck here. We're here infinitely.
So
we can't
sad.
go.
I forgot to mention, I just put in my notes because I didn't want to repeat everything word for word from this one website, but they said when they were doing their EVPs, it seemed like the house was messing with them, because they said Reverend Kelly as a suspect, but then they also said more, and they also said something else. So they're like, are they just naming all the suspects because they can do that, because they won't say the one, and it was like messing, like I said.
Yeah,
they like to kind of mess with them. So
yeah, well, I think that dark energy is like, I'm going to keep this going.
That mystery.
Yeah.
Sad,
so
huh?
tragic. So sad. So upsetting. Oh my gosh. Well, if you guys have strong feelings about this, the way that I seem to, please email us at theominousstitch@gmail.com. If you guys have been there, we want to hear about it.
Yeah,
let us know.
I do want to tour it.
Yeah. And you can also find us on all of the social medias. We're there all the time. You can see cool pictures and links. And if you want to know more about our story, you can jump over to podbean.com and check our page, because that's where we link all of our show notes and everything that we talk about during this episode and prior episodes. There's also a really cool little button you can click to become a patron.
It's so cool.
It's so fun. We do patron episodes. We do send our patrons things, and we acknowledge you because we love you very much.
I love you.
And it makes us feel like we're seen, and you guys are actually out there listening to us, and it's fun. We love having a community, and we just want to keep building that community. So please reach out to us, whether you become a patron or you just want to drop by on social media or email and say hi. We want to get to know you guys better. Okay. I am so
are you drained?
I'm drained now, but we do have one more thing to do, and so it's this stupid movie. So let's go into movie time.
It's movie time. This week's movie is The Axe Murders of Villisca, released in 2016. IMDb rating of 4.1 stars. Synopsis. The Axe Murders of Villisca is a ghost story based on the house where the notorious and still unsolved 1912 axe murders took place. 3 outcast teenagers break into the house in search of answers, but discover something far beyond their worst fears. Free on Tubi.
Yeah, that's the only way to see this movie, if you so choose, is free.
Don't buy this movie.
Don't buy this movie.
Oy vey, this movie. Okay, so
the one thing that I can say that's positive about it is they did pin the Reverend as the axe murderer. So
yes. Spoiler alert.
That's positive.
They said, they were all about Reverend Kelly being the suspect.
Yeah.
The first thing that I got out of this was they loosely base it on the true story. So they fabricate a few things that I don't like. Like, I know it's for Hollywood. That's what Angela said. I was like, why aren't they using the true stories? Like, why aren't they going based off
Hollywood?
I'm like,
stupid. They got to bend the story to fit what story they're trying to tell. Because the story they're trying to tell is you have these teenagers,
quote unquote,
because they look like they're in their 30s, but they're supposedly in high school. Yeah, whatever.
Boo.
And so you have these teenagers that are going into the house. They all have some kind of tragic thing that has happened to them that the house plays on. So I understand why they had to get into
the
whatever
backstory of the kids.
Because the house like manipulates them and uses that to
get their energy and make them do whatever they want them to.
Yeah.
Black-eyed kids.
Black-eyed kids. I texted you that one point because when they're possessed, their eyes go black. And
Even
I'm like,
though,
black-eyed kids.
But then like with Dennis, the guy would look at them and go, what's wrong? And like their eyes are clearly black, but did he not see them? Like,
I don't know.
He didn't see that
So
they were
dumb.
possessed. That was the stupid part too.
So dumb.
They tried to make this kind of cool and base off this story.
Why did we not like it? I mean, I kept asking myself the whole time. I'm like, why is this movie just kind of like meh? I don't like it because I mean, it had a juicy story,
elements, I guess,
and it had all of the tropes.
It felt like a bad Oxygen movie. I don't know. I'm sorry for those who like Oxygen, but it
had all the tropes of a horror movie,
but it was just over the top cheesy.
Yeah,
I didn't like it.
There was nothing to I feel like it just wasn't connecting to them. It was so like just
I can't
everything
believe you.
is bad and nitty gritty and blah blah blah.
My dad was a robber and he made me do that.
Yeah, there's no redeeming thing with any of these people.
Yeah, I guess you can't connect to anybody.
Turned off by them the whole time.
Right.
Turned off by all of them
the
whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cheesy. It kind of like, and it tied in the elements of like the bully, Yeah. That kind of reminded me of it in a way, like.
And the slut shaming.
Yeah,
that was
so unnecessary.
That hurts my heart.
Right?
I hate that so
when they
much.
do that, when they throw that element in.
I'm like,
it just kind of keeps that going. Like, I don't like that.
Yeah, it dehumanizes women, and I hate it.
Yeah. So that was unnecessary.
Yeah.
It could have been a whole different kind of way. But I guess they had to connect it because the Stillinger girl had a crush on the Reverend. That's what I was getting, right?
Yeah.
That was weird too.
That was weird.
So that's why she let him in.
I guess.
So stupid.
That was dumb.
Yeah. But there were, like you said, there's some tiny snippets of cool horror that you're like, oh, what's going to happen? And then he sees his mom, the dentist guy sees his mom as a ghost. Yeah. I'm like,
Mom,
yeah,
I can join you.
I see you.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. No. That just got over the top too, I think.
I didn't care about the characters. So therefore I just was like, meh. And I didn't care about what was happening to them.
Yeah. I feel you.
That's it.
And then the ending was stupid. And the mirrors played a big role.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, come on.
When they see themselves in the mirror, they're like, oh I see who I am, and the house is possessing me, or whatever. Yeah. I was yelling, like in my brain, I was yelling at, what's the boy's name? Was it like Colin or something?
I forgot already.
I don't know. The
main guy?
The main guy, yeah.
Caleb.
Okay, so in my brain, I was yelling at Caleb when he was trying to kill the girl, Jess.
Yeah.
He was trying to kill her, and the axe was pointed backwards. I was like, you're not going to kill her with the blunt.
That's how it
murders. Yes. So now that like I know that's how I get it. But I was like,
they connected
why is the axe backward? And I'm like, oh, so that it can break the mirror. Okay, fine. I get it now.
I put it all together. So silly.
But now that I understand that's
he used the back of the axe for everybody.
So this movie was meh.
Yeah.
Nah. I had a hard time paying attention to it. I kept playing games on my phone and not absolutely can stitch to it because I didn't want to pay attention to the movie.
I have a confession. I watched maybe 15 minutes while I was waiting at an appointment for my husband. I was in the wait room for so long. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to watch it on my phone. And I did because it was kind of loud in there. So I was like, I'm just going to watch some of it here.
Yeah.
That's how great it is.
Yeah. So the 4, I would give it like maybe a 3.5 to a 4. That's fair.
Yeah,
where
give
are you
it
giving
2.5.
2.5, yeah. We're just like,
I'm never gonna watch it again.
No,
and it's free for a reason.
Yeah,
it wasn't very
so
good.
if you want to see a free, not very good movie that is very loosely based on what happened, you can watch the Axe Murderers. Axe Murderers.
I
can't say it. The Axe Murders of Villisca.
Yep. Tubi. You can totally stitch to it.
Absolutely. If you need something
in the background.
while you're doing other things.
There you go.
and you like to hear screaming and I couldn't understand a lot of the words that Jess was saying because they were doing that weird like male female combined voice thing, and then she's screaming, and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying.
What's happening here? Oh, I have to have. That's why I always put closed caption on.
I
have to. I'm that old school. I have to have everything. It doesn't matter what movie it is. I have to have the closed caption. So
man,
that's how I was able to.
Sorry to end on such a bad note where we hate this movie, but we've ended a lot of podcasts like that before. Where we're like, I hate this movie.
You know, the funny story is when I was watching this and I was telling my husband, he's like, "Why aren't you guys watching So I Married an Axe Murder?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's a great movie, but it's not a horror movie." He's like, "Yeah, it is."
So watch that movie instead.
Yeah,
because it's so much more fun.
So much better. They do a really good job on that.
Woman.
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 Hello.
Girls make me horny on Saturday morning. Josie and those dear pussy cats.
Good memory.
What does he say?
I don't know.
Josie and those something pussy cats.
I ordered a large.
Jane.
Hello.
Hello. Jane, get me off this crazy thing called love. Okay, that's it.
We're going to end on that.
Watch So I Married an Axe Murder instead. Yeah. Have much more fun.
Hey, way more fun.
And until next time, we'll see you, Stitchers.
See you, Stitchers.